CEO here at the Greater Danbury Chamber of Commerce, and I am pleased to be the moderator for our conversation this afternoon. In just a few moments, we'll be hearing from industry experts in the marketing field who will discuss marketing in a pandemic. Once our panelists finish their opening remarks, I will pose a few questions that I received prior to the start of our call today. I encourage you to use the chat feature that is located at the bottom of your screen right in the middle, as we will be taking questions during our conversation today. So please feel free to submit questions as we go throughout the conversation through the chat box. So with that, I'd like to welcome our very first panelist, Irv Goldstein. Irv is the president and CEO of Berkshire Broadcasting Corporation, based right here in the Hat City. Irv, I appreciate you taking time out today and joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, PJ. Thanks for having me today, and thank you all for joining today. I'm just looking at myself on the screen here, and guess I really need a haircut. That trip to Georgia I canceled over the weekend doesn't look like such a good idea now, does it? Anyway, again, thank you all for joining us today. And before I start, I really there's a lot of heroes in this pandemic, and rightfully so. The first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the essential workers. But at the same time, I want to give a shout out to our on-air staff at 98Q, WLAD in particular, who have been getting up every morning, leaving the house and going out into a very uncertain environment to provide news, information, and entertainment to the greater Danbury community. They've done a great job. It makes me very, very proud to be a broadcaster. And again, I just shout out to well-deserved. So, local stations are really the voice of the community. We're unique in our ability as a way for clients to connect on an emotional level, and especially now. I'm not sure that right now it's as possible to feel a connection with a Bridgeport or New Haven or Hartford radio station during these times, because people are coming for specific information of what's going on in the Danbury area. Even when I turn on Channel 8 every once in a while and they're talking about something in Guilford, it just doesn't resonate with me. So I think that this is a time that local radio is really important, and people are coming to it for information specifically to the greater Danbury community. Local radio gives advertisers a one-on-one personal connection with a local consumer, and at the same time positions the business or service as a leader and supporter of the community. So why advertise now? Several reasons. Number one is to reassure your customers that you're still there and intend to be there when things improve. Messaging may have to be different, of course, but your sales professional can help you craft an appropriate message for right now and going forward as events dictate. If you've been a consistent advertiser, you won't forfeit the brand awareness that you've established over the long term. Top of mind brand awareness, very important to sustain this, especially now. Another reason is to grab market share, especially from competitors who stopped advertising. Now think about this. Okay, so the state reopens for business. You've been loyal to a certain business. You call for an appointment and not able to get one. Not able to get one for a couple of weeks. And so what do you do then? Who's your next call? My guess is your next call is to somebody who has stayed on the air or stayed advertising during this period of time, is top of mind, and it's someone that will pop into your mind as someone to call next. So it does raise the profile, keeps the profile high, enables you to grab market share. So what is the current advertising environment? It's no secret that advertising-dependent businesses, including digital and social media, have taken a real hit during this period. So there's a lot of flexibility right now available to advertisers, both in the way spots are scheduled, the times of day, the pricing, and payment schedules. And fewer advertisers at this time is an opportunity for your message to really cut through and stand out, especially if your competitors are on the sidelines. And the larger local audiences, and we're seeing larger local audiences, especially on our streaming platforms, like most radio stations. All of our stations are available through on your phone, smart speaker, smart TV, tune in app. But the larger local audiences coupled with a short-term rate disruption right now is really a great opportunity for advertisers who can take advantage. And, and it's easy for me to spend somebody else's money during this period. But the fact of the matter is that Berkshire Broadcasting, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're currently advertising on several platforms, and maybe you've even seen some of our billboards in that 1 or 2 times a week that you drive around to the store or whatever. But we're actively advertising the market right now. And by the way, I have to say, I come in once a week to check the mail, and I'm happy to see that over the past, with each successive week, I see more and more cars on the road. It's hardly a traffic jam, but I am seeing, more cars on the road, and I think that's an encouraging sign and shows how people want to get out and get back to whatever the new normal is going to be as soon as possible. So, and I'm optimistic going forward, and let me give you some reasons why. The furloughs versus layoff issue, and so at some point, hopefully, the large majority of people that were furloughed are going to come back to work, are going to be able to spend money again, although as I read, some of the furloughed employees are actually doing better on unemployment than they are working right now. But that's another discussion. That's for you, PJ, to take up with Hartford or someplace. But anyway, but a lot of these people are going to be back to work, and I think that very encouraging over the next 2 to 3 months. And although stimulus checks are definitely a lifeline for many, people in less dire situations will use them to pump money back into the economy. If they don't have a dire need for the money, then hopefully they're going to spend it in the marketplace, and that's going to help the economy restart. And I have to, if you're driven by a gas station, the gas prices are under $2 at this point. And going forward into fall and winter, heating oil prices are going to be down. And I just got a letter from my car insurance company the other day telling me they were giving me a 15% rebate. So there's going to be some money that's going to be freed up in those areas as well. And then what I call 0 to 60. And I'm not suggesting this is going to happen across the board in any way, but there are a lot of seasonal businesses that shut down and then ramp up, when the next season starts. And I'm thinking about a business like Down the Hatch or the marinas, the ski areas, that basically go from 0 to 60 every year. And I'm hopeful that, again, not all the businesses, but some of the businesses will be able to do that when the state reopens for business again. And then finally, there's what I call pent-up demand. And I can give a lot of examples, but here's one thing I know for sure. I personally cannot wait to go out to a restaurant again, sit down, be served, and have a meal. That's what I call pent-up demand. And there's a lot of areas of pent-up demand as far as I'm concerned, but that's just one that just popped right into my mind. Research shows that businesses that continue to advertise during difficult times are the most successful when business improves, when things improve on the other side. Unfortunately, because I probably already ran over my allotted time, I'm not going to be able to go through examples, showing this research. But I'd invite you to email me if you'd like me to share some of the research studies with you about how these businesses do better if they continue to advertise once difficult times pass. You can email me at irvbbc@gmail.com. That's irvbbc@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to share, some of these success stories with you for those that continue to advertise. So let me leave you today with the quoted advertising axiom, which is more relevant now than ever. When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. Thank you very much for your time, and stay well, everybody. And I'll see what's in the chat, and we'll be back at some point.
Excellent. Thank you, Irv. I appreciate your comments and reaching out to me to encourage the Chamber to host a webinar like this. And I, too, look forward to maybe sitting down with you soon at one of the Chamber restaurants to grab a bite to eat locally here. So next up, we have Alicia Ghio. She is the owner and producer at Our Media, along with the chairwoman at City Center Danbury. So Alicia, thanks for joining us today. Welcome.
Well, thank you for asking me to participate in this, PJ. I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think people are really curious, how can I still market my business? I still need to be in business. And I think that's really the biggest thing is, on my end, we make the content that people share. So, off the top of my mind, when you mentioned doing this webinar, I've always encouraged people to do a combination of the professionally slick produced things and the genuine, authentic, I recorded this on my phone kind of content. I think that there's a place for both of that, especially now. My first thought is people need to sit and reevaluate what existing content, do you have, and how can you get it focused on what people need and want right now. You don't want to have images of crowds. You don't want to show close contact. So if you've got that kind of imagery in your current, videos or stills, you need to rethink that to be a little bit more socially aware, but still be able to promote your personal level of service. But now that means finding different ways to connect with customers and different ways that you're adapting your business for your customers. It really is true, though, that if you want to stay in front of people, people are consuming media more now, even than before this all happened. Eyes are more on social media. YouTube engagement and viewership has increased over, traditional advertising on TV and in other streaming platforms. People are here, and this is their source of entertainment. So there's the opportunity to advertise in your business. And how that looks is going to depend on what your business is. I think that the really key messages is making sure that you adapt to what people need now and being aware of what imagery or what kinds of things people are going to either trigger them to back away from your business or to engage with it. I made a few notes just because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, but I think that in a lot of ways you want to be useful to people. You want your content or your business or your service to come across as useful. You want to be compassionate to the needs of what your audience is, and you want to be real at the same time. Not alarmist, not to cause a panic, but you also want to be real that if your business has been impacted by this, you can share a little bit of that, and that's okay. I've had a lot of different clients come up with creative ways that they've done things, and there are a lot of opportunities even to do some of that authentic content on your phone, even as a live, as an update, providing a tip for some kind of a service or a product that you provide. If you've found you want to announce your new hours, that you're doing curbside or delivery, you can do video content to do that. You can make video content to show how you're being extra safe with your precautions. You can make videos that are sort of like a virtual tour if you're a place that, like we have a senior living facility client and they can't have in-person tours, but we can create, virtual tour videos for them using images and things that they already have sort of in an archive. There's a lot of opportunity for that. We've even had clients who have, they're a retail outlet, but they can't really have customers. So they've fully adapted their website. We collaborated with their agency. So we created an explainer video of all the different ways that you can now use their website to connect with them and to make a sale. A hair salon, do tips on how to help people trim their beard, how to give a trim for their hair. And this way you're still staying in front of mind with your current customers, as well as potentially getting new customers. They'll remember your name. They're going to remember that you provided them with this helpful content. There's a lot of opportunity, and you have to really get creative and think outside the box. And I really think that's the key when it comes to your content. And people want that visual media. They want to feel that personal connection, and video really is the perfect way to do that because you can see it, you can hear it in voices. You just have to, adapt. And I think that's been really the key thing for us, is helping our clients figure out how they can adapt their content and how they're able to use social media, TV advertising to reflect their business and what's happening now. And that's me.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate your comments. So next up, just down the road from our media is 7th Avenue Media. Ardonyx Day, the founder and CEO, actually right next door to the Chamber's office. Ardonyx, thanks for taking time out today. We appreciate you joining us. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, PJ, for having me here. And thank you for everyone being a part of this call. Super excited to be here and to see how we can help with helping position your business online. So, I've been getting a lot of calls with businesses on how to really position their business online and what should they do, what kind of information they need on their website. So critical things right now is that this is an opportunity to take time to assess, how we are doing things digitally. And Alicia and Irv was very right about, having the competitive advantage when you really focus on positioning yourself digitally and for the long term. And right now, a lot of people are online really just seeking out for information and resources to get through this scenario, as well as trying to meet some of their needs. So some of the things about, and I'm going to focus this conversation more about your website and the importance of really revisiting your website, and the importance of that is that, of course, like I said earlier, a lot of people are going to be online seeking for information and resources. But also, because people are seeking online for information and resources, they're going to be searching on these search engines. So, if you're not really taking a look at, SEO and seeing how to get a little bit more visibility, that's critical, because then people can't find you. So really checking your website, making sure you have the right keywords. And if you don't really understand that, there are some information resources we can provide for you in terms of learning a little bit more about SEO. But that's very, very important to make sure that on your website you have keywords to be able to get ranking, to get search, to get visibility, and also help with you on the long term. Also, it's important, like Alicia said, putting out information saying that, hey, we are going through some scenario as well, and make it really candid, to put about information about COVID-19 on your site to show what's the upcoming information about your business, what is happening, when will you guys open, or any other product or service offerings you will have. It's also, if you're a retail business, there's opportunities to even start thinking about developing an e-commerce portion of your site. You don't have to necessarily think about having people walk in. E-commerce is a really strong way to really continue to build your business, and it's a really great way for people who in the long term, it's a really great investment if you're not having to worry about having walk-ins or having more people to purchase your product online. As well as if you're offering service, booking, having the ability to make it easy and convenient for people to book your service. If you're doing a consultation, if you want to be able to have a way to provide delivery option, having these easy ways for people to be able to utilize their service is a great way to be able to do that online. Also, an easy way to do things is if you're struggling with how people can pay, provide them with payment options and spread the payments out, and do an easy way for people to have online subscriptions and transactions. Anything that you can do to really position yourself online is definitely the way to go in this moment, and making it easy and convenient for people. It builds a lot of convenience and a lot of trust. And then we get into some aspects of analytics. So, not just simply say, I have a website, and I want to utilize it, but understand the data behind it, because you can have a site, but if you're not looking at the analytics to see what's important, then it's kind of going to be a sitting duck, and it's not going to be effective. So things that you really need to dive deep into is getting into a little bit more Google Analytics. If you're getting into social, like Alicia mentioned, in terms of developing content, start looking at the trends and the information that people are looking into and seeing what's relevant. And also, it's going to help with getting you a lot more exposure when you're doing that, and also seeing how many times you need to be able to post. So for content wise, really start creating content even for your website that's going to be relevant for your user base, but also as well as for people on social. Really start looking at the analytics to really help with positioning yourself. And same thing for content for your website, their video content for your website also helps with increasing a lot more in terms of engagement. So Forbes actually wrote an article saying that the average user spends about 88% more time on a website with a video content. And also right now, people are sure watching YouTube videos, how-to videos, do it your home, do it by yourself. Internet user spend right now, according to Limelight, spend about 6 hours to 48 minutes per week watching videos online, according to last year. So, you know, really combining really good strategic content right now, like you said, if you can create videos and put it on your website, or create videos and put it on social, as well as really trying to see, once they actually get onto your site, what easy user experience ways that people can actually be able to interact with your service offerings is very, very important. So that's pretty much it. And if you guys really have any questions on how to really get started with analytics, or what areas I should be focusing on my website, our team can really help with, you know, doing an audit and really do a one-to-one conversation and helping you guys really getting started with that. So I really thank you guys again for giving me the opportunity to be here, and look forward to seeing how I can help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ardonyx. I appreciate it. And so our last panelist for this afternoon is Shannon Kenefick. Shannon is the Director of Marketing and Sales Solution at Townsquare Media. Shannon, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, PJ. I'm super excited to participate. Last but not least, at least I hope. So I'll be quick because I know we're eager to get to the fun part and answer all of your specific questions. A lot of the material I'm going to go through has been touched upon by others. So one of my favorite parts of this job is problem solving for my clients. And right now, adaptability to change is hugely important to drive revenue. So Ardonyx and Alicia have already done a great job sharing the importance of why to market now, also how to market. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what to say in your marketing message. So what should you say in your marketing message during the COVID pandemic? Well, first and foremost, your marketing message is your communication plan for your business to your customers and potential customers. So the key is to think like a consumer. What do they need to know, or what do they want to know in order to do business with you right now? Are you open? Duh, right? How have your services changed? Is it safe for me and my family to do business with you? You don't want to appear tone deaf. It's not business as usual. However, we're more than 6 weeks into sheltering in place, so there's a major tune-out factor to too much doom and gloom. We get it. I'm wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask. We're all wearing masks. Just tell me that I'm going to be delighted to do business with you. Another thing to consider when reviewing your marketing message is, has your target audience changed? So 2 quick examples. I work with someone in restaurant distribution. So with restaurants being closed, they've had to diversify their services to drive revenue in other ways and keep their staff employed. Instead of delivering supplies to restaurants, they're now doing grocery home delivery direct to consumers. So their business has gone from a B2B business to now a B2C business. So instead of speaking directly to the restaurateur, they're now speaking to the mom needing to feed her family, which is obviously a very different message. Another great example is a retail storefront that I work with traditionally has a good percentage of customers in the 65 plus demographic. They're now relying very much on e-commerce, to Ardonyx's point, to drive revenue since their physical location is closed. Since only 10% of online shoppers are over the age of 65, if they want to drive e-commerce sales, they have to speak to the demographic that is more likely to purchase online. The cool thing about this example is that we didn't rely solely on hypothesis. When we built this plan, we actually A/B tested different creatives in the market and discovered that there was more interaction with what we consider the millennial creative set. So we proved our theory with data. So as a side note, most marketing platforms and vendors do offer reporting analytics as a part of your agreement. If you're not 100% sure of what your marketing message is, let the data help you decide, right? We have CrowdTangle on Facebook, for example. With that said, selecting the right platform to put your message out is equally as important as your message itself. Just because a message is sent doesn't mean that it has been received. I don't know if you guys have ever used the red receipts on your emails. So whatever your marketing message is that you decide to put out there, 100% it is a requirement that on your website, you have information on how your customers can get services from you. If they can't figure that out on your website, they're not going to do business with you. So if I can leave you with 3 key takeaways when reviewing your marketing strategy and your marketing message right now, how has my business changed? Who is my target audience? And how do I tell my target audience how they should do business with me? So that's about it for me. Thanks so much.
I really appreciate it. All right, so let me move to some of the questions I received prior to the start of our webinar today. Actually, Ardonyx, you touched upon analytics towards the end. Someone said something saying, how do they get started with analytics? Simple as that. They're not too familiar with how to access that information. And what's the best way to get started with that?
Yeah, so there's some information online that really can help you get started. The first thing I would actually do is, of course, start with what you already have. If you already have, a social media account, or if you already have a website, first is look at trying to get into Google Analytics. And if you have a Google for Business account, so if you have a business listing, you can actually go into your dashboard and panel and get you registered. The only complexity behind that is tying it into your website, which can get a little confusing. And so that's something that, we can definitely help with you guys in terms of trying to tie it into your website. But it's just a little code that you just drop into your website and you can get a feed. But reading the analytics is really the key part, is understanding, what does that data even mean and the importance of that. So Google does have a tutorial and step-by-step on how to read analytics. It's really, really good. And I believe it's on also their YouTube channel. So if you look up Google Analytics on YouTube, as well as their dashboard, they do have a walkthrough behind that. And then what you really want to look for is, when you're reading analytics, is what to really optimize. Like, what is the important things that is important to change. So, bounce rate, as you probably might hear, is, how long someone's going to be on your site for. That's really critical to see if you're making relevant content, or if it's engaging, if the experience is good. So looking into things like that is important. And for social media, you have a Google for Business, a business account where you can actually see the analytics on your dashboard for your social as well. So yeah, you can research that, and we're also willing to help you with getting started with that as well.
Excellent, thank you, Ardonyx. I appreciate it. Alicia, you touched upon content in your opening remarks. Someone asked ahead of this, what type of content should they be creating to increase exposure? I know that's pretty vague, but business, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the kind of business and what services you offer and who is your target audience. Again, you need to have the data to understand it, to know what kind of image, what kind of video content to put out there. And it really does vary, industry, business, size, and really who your audience is. I would say short bites of content is really digestible for people. So, and again, it just really depends. You can do an explainer, you can do a tip, you could just do a straight up regular advertisement. You could do something that's informational and educational about your product or service and how it helps people right now to solve a problem. The viewership overall on YouTube since this started has increased exponentially. A lot of research is showing, and so people are looking for content that is also it sort of boosts their mood and aligns with their mood. So I think that being able to provide something that is a problem solver or is helpful is what is going to attract people right now. It is a general statement, but any more specific than that, it really just depends on your industry and where are your customers and where are your potential future customers.
Sure. So Irv and Shannon, you guys both talked about the importance of continuing to advertise throughout the crisis, let's say. And I've been seeing this quote over the past couple of weeks and have not been able to determine whether or not it's Winston Churchill or Rahm Emanuel, which is two different people, but never let a crisis go to waste, right? So my question is, how do you strike a balance between being sincere with your messaging and also at the same time not coming across as being an opportunist or insensitive with that content that you're putting out?
Yeah, so that's a great question, or pop in as you'd like. I think a lot of it comes down to having, professionals to bounce ideas off of, putting yourself in that consumer seat as well. How would you perceive this message? Really kind of, beating it up behind the scenes. And then again, to echo what I said earlier, and also Ardonyx, let the data help you. If you put a post up on Facebook, you can see immediate reactions. You can echo that on other platforms that you're using. Same thing with radio advertising. We have the ability to tie into your Google Analytics based on when a radio commercial plays. So we can really track, based again on your website traffic, what messages are encouraging the desired response, from your audience. Tying into a good promotion as well, like a shop local promotion. I'm sure if you guys may have seen on, there's a lot of OTT ads out there for Modelo or Miller Lite where they've aligned with this, cause marketing initiative to support restaurants. So essentially they're doing a virtual tip jar. So you can also use a concept beyond, the content itself, just to align your brand with.
Well, I think what's going to happen first is, and again, as I said, the sales professional can help you craft a message that will change over the next 3 to 5 months as we emerge from this thing. The first message is obviously that we're open. The next message is probably that we're safe. And then depending on how things go, what level of normalcy is restored, then you might say, okay, we've got this deal, or we have a special offer, a stimulus offer, that type of thing. So it's definitely a staged campaign, and you can't come out of the box basically sell right now. But you can get there after some period of time. I believe that.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we're starting to get some questions through the chat box, so thank you for submitting them. Here is one from Leonardo. What is the best media platform to reach the 65 plus population?
Yeah, actually, so speaking about that, I just saw that I was going to bring that up. So best platforms, I would say, is probably Facebook and traditional advertising. So like radio, newspapers, because they are used to a certain type of medium, in their generation. So I would stick to that medium that they're used to, as well as, there are some of these people are also on, they're predominantly on Facebook. So the data have shown that Facebook is usually for an older audience. The Instagram is under the age 35. And then of course you have the other social channels. So that goes into segue into the conversation of understanding who you're creating content for and positioning yourself within, the platform that they're going to be on. So it's critical. So that's something that you guys should look at, and knowing exactly what are the algorithms behind that platform, or, how often should I be posting on that specific platform is critical to create more visibility. But to answer your question, definitely Facebook. And, you could talk to Irv about, broadcasting, radio. It's probably definitely a great way to go. And yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing about radio, of course, is that there are various demographic targets for each radio station. We have 5 radio stations so that we can basically offer advertising for whatever demographic, from cradle to grave, as we like to say in the broadcast industry. So, but that's not to say that that's the only way to reach a 65 plus audience. But I do agree that it's traditional media is probably the best way to reach a 65 plus audience.
I would piggyback on that as well. Cable advertising, the TV, like actually on TV, and even the local Connecticut stations, if you're based in Connecticut or wherever you may be based. Traditional media is really where you're going to get the most viewers, and then Facebook.
If I can also add a little bit to that. So there are digital targeting strategies that can isolate a 65 plus population based on what your demographic footprint looks like. So all of our information is in the cloud. So all of our information is known about somewhere. Although I like to consider myself just, a person made up of XYZ different behaviors as opposed to it being personal. But anyway, with that said, I think you want to consider buying habits as well. So as you know, buying habits have changed significantly with COVID, right? So as opposed to going and sitting down in a restaurant, paying a tip, you're not doing those behaviors. You might be purchasing online through Grubhub or Vroom or another platform and having a service delivered to you. So when you're looking to target that population, you absolutely can reach them in various methods. But I would want to make sure that the buying process for that age demographic is also aligned with the platform you choose.
Perfect. So there's been a lot of talk about the comparison between the 08-09 recession and what we are unfortunately going through now. And Dr. Michael Needham, chamber member, has asked a pretty good question here. He said, has anyone experienced and evidenced what worked market spend converting to increased sales after the last downturn in 2008, 2009? What strategies worked and which companies did it best? Does anybody have any examples they could potentially, they can speak to on the success of marketing after the 08-09 recession?
Well,
Go ahead.
I would talk to home improvement there, because what happens generally in times like this is that you think about what you have, and can you think about moving at a time like this. You're spending a lot of time in your home. You're noticing things in your home that maybe should be fixed, or you're having issues because of the number of people that are in the house right now. So historically in these times, what happens is home improvement type businesses are the ones that really do very, very well. And frankly, a large percentage of the business that stayed on the air on our radio station is home improvement type business, whether it's plumbing, health and air conditioning, water services, remodeling, cabinetry. So I think people are thinking about that as they sit around the house for their 7th week in a row. And what are we going to do once, to make the house an even more comfortable place, or at least a comfortable place if we're going to spend more time here. So that's one area that does particularly well in this time period. In terms of the research studies that I talked to, one of the ones that is often been cited is one where McDonald's basically stopped advertising during the recession, and Taco Bell continued to advertise. And as a result, Taco Bell's market share increased while McDonald's decreased. So again, it does state that those that do advertise and continue to advertise during a recession or during difficult times come out better on the other side with a larger market share.
The Journal of Ad Research is exactly reflective of what Herb is talking about, and the sales remained better even after the recession. Those businesses stayed on top of their market share. So there is data that backs up that.
Anyone else want to? I know Shannon, you hopped on earlier. Do you want to add to that, or you good?
You know what, I think there's an example from Kellogg's, so I wasn't sure if you could potentially connect us some contact information. I'd love to pull a case study out from, that survived that particular experience for Michael.
Yeah, that one was around the turn of the century. So CW Post was the leading cereal brand back at the turn of the 19th century. 20th century. And it stopped advertising in the shortly after the start of the new century, and a little startup company in Battle Creek, Michigan called Kellogg's basically took Post's market share, and not only did Post fall second, they actually ended up third in that scenario, and they've never recovered, and that's obviously over 100 years at this point. So to my point earlier about if you've been branding, don't give up that top of mind awareness. Continue to brand even now, because you will lose market share if you let somebody else, sneak up on you.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I was about a century too early on that one, but
It was close. It was close.
close.
Related to branding, I did see that Herm had a question, because obviously if you're promoting the Danbury hockey team, it's about being packed in a crowd. So
Yeah.
what do you do now? And I think that is a really interesting question. I think that staying top of people's mind, but we also, that kind of business is closed right now, and we don't know what the rules are going to be when you can open. How is it going to look that when you can be open? But I think in terms of staying in, how are you making things safe for right now? Maybe it's focusing more on individual players, or on things that the arena is still doing in the community, or making it feel more like we are a part of this community. We don't know what hockey will look like, but it's still going to be fun. It'll be safe. I don't know if anyone else has any, ways that I think that is a really interesting marketing thing for them.
Right.
Well, I think Herm is doing the right thing. I follow the Danbury Hat Tricks on Instagram, and he's continuing to post pictures and highlights of the season.
Yep.
So being visible is about all you can do right now, because the rest of it, in terms of when he can open, what's going to happen the next hockey season, is beyond his control. So he's trying to control what he can control by keeping the name out there, keeping the business top of mind.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So this next question came in. Is there any buzz on a back to business campaign for the Greater Danbury area through your networks? What will you do to promote when the time comes up to fully open back up? It's actually a pretty good idea, suggestion. I wonder if the chamber should spearhead that.
Hint, hint.
So at Townsquare, we're doing a shop local initiative. So it's a lot of added value, a lot of name recognition, just a lot of promotional mentions with some tailored messaging. So the idea is to sort of build a community-centric idea and then align our different advertisers with it. So it's as cost-effective as possible. I think one of the biggest concerns that actually hasn't come up in the chat is budgeting for marketing during this time. A lot of people who are furloughing employees don't want to have their message out there because they feel it's insensitive to their employees that they're investing in marketing when they couldn't pay their salaries. So essentially what we're looking to do is make it as cost effective as possible. There are many platforms that you can use that are no cost options as well. We have on our home pages, for example, just a database of who's open for business in what different categories. So the listeners can go and essentially take a peruse through different restaurants that they might want to get curbside takeout from. Obviously, as things roll out and things progress, we'll stay on top of that for sure.
And City Center is sort of doing something similar, where it's keeping track of the downtown businesses that are opening, what are their hours and where ways to connect with them, and sharing any of their posts and their information with the City Center audience and our broader, mailing list of people. And I think that's where somewhere like a City Center, like Townsquare, like in Berkshire, you cover a lot of area, and you can really help the local businesses sort of connect with their customers as well. I do think that that's valuable, and it gets more cost effective because you have those larger groups of customers.
Excellent, thank you. So let's take a pivot back to content. This is one of the questions I received prior. Can I create content from my home, and how often should I post? Yes.
Oh yeah, so I could chime in, and probably Alicia is probably excited for this question as well. But yeah, yes, you actually can create content from your home, and I think that's critical. Alicia mentioned it before. You can take, you record videos, even on your mobile phone, if need be. If that's what you have to do in order to provide people with information. But little things that I would start diving into is trying to improve your content over time. And then of course a lot of people are hesitant to record themselves talk. But the more important thing is to think about the information that you're providing and just get started, and things will actually get better over time. So yeah, you can get started. And that's a question that I've been asked quite a bit. So we came up with a less than $1,200 budget where you could have your own home studio. You'll have a little camera, lighting gear. And usually, you know, as you get better and better, it's better to hire like a professional team like Alicia or ourselves to kind of help with just editing, you know, and making sure that you know, because content can be very time consuming and can be overwhelming. So you want to hire a professional team to help you with that over time. But usually getting started with a small studio to kind of get into understanding how the process works is definitely helpful. How often you should post, how often you should push, it depends on the platform. So each platform works differently. So like for instance, Facebook, you want to probably post about two to three times per week. Instagram, which is about the same thing. LinkedIn, you know, if you're targeting small businesses, which I think that was one of the questions, you know, LinkedIn, you should probably post about twice per week, depending on the type of content. You could repurpose it. And then on Twitter, it's a little bit more often. You need to be actually posting on a daily basis, 3 to 10 times per day. You know, so, you know, really understanding the platform and really reading that data really can help you with how often you should be push and how often or what types of content that people are actually gravitating towards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. And, you know, you can start out with just using your phone. I mean, use what you've got, especially right now. You don't need to get too fancy. Because again, when you do want to get fancier, that's the time that you really need to get the professional in there to really help make it a cohesive message and be able to work with, you know, to make it match your branding on your website and work with your agency to kind of pull it all together. But, you know, even doing short, you know, Instagram stories or Facebook stories, things like that. And really, you know, it's like a glimpse into who you are, and this is how you can connect now with your audience. So being a little bit of that realness is important, I think. It's not just the word authenticity. I really think you can be real and have it really be meaningful right now. And again, I would say exactly what Ardonyx said is it's about, you know, mixing up your content. You don't want to be doing all photos. You want to have a mix, but you have to kind of ramp it up. It depends on the platform and how often you want to post and what it is you need to convey as well. Some things you can just do with some photos. You don't necessarily have to do a video. If you want to start out without being on camera, that's really the way you can do some photos.
Yeah, and just get started. You know, a lot of people are hesitant. Just start
Right.
pushing it out and just look at the data.
All right. Another question that we came in. Patty, thanks for joining us from the Regional YMCA of Western Connecticut. She asked an opinion for the panel here. What is your opinion on live Zoom workouts versus a recorded workout video? At the YMCA, they really feel the need to interact with the community. Is it limiting or beneficial? What are your thoughts there on that question?
So I think, you know, you would be the pro as far as engagement with Zoom video, whether it be recorded or live, perhaps both. But, you know, from a marketing perspective, any time that you're reaching out to your audience and letting them know that you have a new set of services for them is just another reason to talk to them. So, you know, in advertising, it's all about frequency, and you're just staying that top of mind with that customer. And, you know, hopefully they embrace the Zoom workout, whether it be live or recorded, but certainly give it a shot. And to Ardonyx's point, use the data.
Yeah, and I would say I know friends personally who are living by their Zoom workouts, live and recorded. So I think that's exactly what Shannon said, is that you're staying top of mind, and it shows that you're trying to adapt and be there for your community of people, and people will remember that.
Excellent. I think we got time for maybe one more question. I'm trying to scroll back up here. Come in.
Oh, I wanted to mention for the YMCA, a good workout tip is how to boost here's a workout to boost your immunity. So your immune system. So, you know, think about a workout for that. I'm sure you'll definitely got a lot of viewers for that.
Absolutely.
Right. So PJ Chimini posted, he's interested to hear from the panelists about innovative ways traditional broadcast channels can integrate into non-traditional social channels. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, we do it with Facebook. 98Q, for instance, has about 15,000 Facebook followers. So when we post something there, we get a lot of reactions. It's a great way to engage with your audience. You know, we have active websites, and there's advertising that can be placed there. You know, we can look at the analytics of Google and look behind the scenes of who is coming to the sites, what age demographics, what pages they're looking at, what they're most interested in. So there is a way to kind of figure it together.
Yeah, at Townsquare, we've certainly done similar as Herb's done at Berkshire. We also layered in some of our programmatic strategies. I'm sure that's a word that you guys may or may not be familiar with. Basically digital targeting that is offsite. So not just reaching our audience, but we're actually able to use data sets to reach outside of our audience as well. So not only are we able to post on Facebook, you know, different blogs from our DJs. Our DJs are required to post content regularly, just in order to make sure that we keep that live local feel. We are the trusted resource, to Herb's point earlier, for news and entertainment in the marketplace. But we're also able to guarantee delivery. So by layering in that programmatic element, we can guarantee that 22,000 people are going to see this, 150 people are going to click through. So we're integrating both the digital and the traditional mediums to make sure that we're delivering for our customers. Similarly, we've done things like we just launched our I-95 stock. If anybody tuned into that, it was sort of a faux concert feel where we basically had our in-between chatter similar to that you'd feel at a concert. So, oh, hey, did you just check out Aerosmith? He just ran by. What does it take for a guy to get a drink around here? You know, really try to bring the virtual home, you know, into your new space. So, you know, just getting creative and using all elements that we can deploy, if you will.
Excellent, thank you. All right, I think that's all we have for time for questions. I will, if there's anything else that our panelists would like to mention, feel free. I'll go in the reverse order. Shannon, is there anything that you'd like to just reiterate from the conversation?
You know, I think the biggest thing is work within your means. There's a lot of professionals out there, you know, Townsquare is one, you know, our media, 7th Avenue Media Berkshire, we can all give you some advice as far as how to work within your budget, how to get your message out there. It's all contingent on, you know, what you have available would be how we would make recommendations for you. There's a lot you can do on your own, but having some guidance is definitely helpful. And you know, if you've got the budget to put behind it, you can guarantee delivery.
Excellent, thank you, Shannon, appreciate it. Ardonyx, anything else to add to the conversation?
Pretty much just, I think this is just a great opportunity for businesses to start evaluating, you know, their digital and marketing strategy. And, you know, it really gives a time for us to think of what ways we can optimize, make things more efficient, and, you know, really think outside the box, like Alicia said. It gives us opportunity because we're all, you know, entrepreneurs or business owners, we think outside the box. We're problem solvers. And I think if we get into that mindset of how to solve this other problem and position, you know, it would actually be a great investment in the long term. So, you know, that's pretty much it. And I'm really optimistic of what the future has. And so, you know, looking forward to helping as much as I can. And thank you again.
There you go. Confidence is contagious. Thanks, Ardonyx. Appreciate it. Alicia, any final comments?
Yeah, I just would echo what Ardonyx and Shannon said, that there are professionals here to help. And that's really, I mean, our advice is free. And we can work within your budget. We can tell you what's doable. And we really are here to help you reach your customers. And there's all different ways to do that. And I'll do a shameless self-plug just to follow our media TV on Facebook and Instagram especially, because we are now post this webinar, we are going to post some ideas for people to get them inspired on what kind of content they can do and would it apply to their business or not. And again, like this is a community thing. So just thank you for the chamber for doing this. I think it brought us together and we all work together kind of in a weird way. So, you know, we hope that this encourages other businesses to also want to work together and collaborate. That's really what it's about. And we'll get through this.
Absolutely. Alicia, thank you very much. So Mr. President and CEO Irv, we'll give you the last word, my friend.
Well, I think the message is the same for all of us. We're here to help. I mean, we want to see businesses succeed. We want to see businesses come through this, and whatever we can do in terms of being flexible, helping with the messaging, helping point people in the right direction is something that we're all committed to do and we're interested in doing for, you know, not only to keep our lights on, but to keep the lights on in the greater Danbury community as many businesses as possible. So I take advantage of the flexibility now that all of us can offer at a time that advertising is off, and grab some market share and to let everybody know you're there and still going to be there when we get through this thing. And by the way, I did get one text while we were talking about Herm, and the suggestion was that Herm and the Federal Hockey League introduced social distance hockey with no body checking.
Yeah, right, exactly. That won't fill the seats there. Excellent. All right.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you to the panelists again for joining, as well as the attendees. We appreciate everyone taking the time out of their days to join us. We will be continuing to do these webinars in the coming weeks. As I mentioned all the time, the Chamber's here for you. And if you have suggestions as to content that you would like us to discuss and bring in industry experts, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. pj@danburychamber.com is my email. And 203-743-5565 is how you can get me on this cell phone here. Thank you again, everyone. Appreciate taking the time. Stay healthy and stay well, everyone. Take care.